Hello, everybody. Welcome. Big Crafter here, among my many other YouTube, Rumble, internet formations, creations, and things I just like hanging out doing. I know was supposed to go live yesterday, but health issues did not allow. I prefer to only go live or make videos when I've actually had a full night's sleep versus for some reason I just couldn't sleep. And thank God for hemp oil. That's all I can say. Hopefully this is loud enough. But I always like to double check. I'd hate to go to all the trouble and find out no one can hear anything. And if anyone's truly into crafting with the fiber arts, this came from Amazon, the magnet one. As long as you have a real easy, loose stitch, it's wonderful. If you have a small, tight stitch, not so wonderful. Don't know who's going to be on today. I've been trying to announce it beforehand, but I'm just trying to make up for lost time because I wasn't here yesterday. Like mentally, physically I was available, but mentally I was not present. I actually did that once. I left a note for a teacher. I was just feeling so awful, but I didn't want a demerit on my record to say I didn't show. And I lived so far away from the where I lived for the school, I couldn't go home. So it's like I'll be present, but don't try to act. I will not be intelligent. Do not ask me any smart questions because you're not going to get an answer that you like. When he read it, he's like, "What are you doing here? Did you not read the note?" The note said I would be mentally absent, not physically. So I don't really like being too mentally absent. I mean, as much as I enjoy babbling like a complete and utter idiot, there's a limitation to what's reasonable. It really is. If anyone wants to know what I'm working on, this is just the granny stitch, and I'm just using up all of my Christmas yarn from Hobby, and it's just being striped. And it has sparkle, all the stuff, the Universe Christmas lace acrylic edition, all has sparkle. And I'm seeing, like, whenever they put them together, they look okay as far as colors go, because, like, I started off with a true bright, like, apple Christmas colors. Now it's more of a faded Victorian kind of English color. So we will see. Because whenever they sell them, they always try to push the 4 pack of colors. And to be honest, I only liked about 3 of the mixes. I stuck with just 2. No, I did get 3. I did get 3. And this is just whatever is left from that and just finishing it up. And I think this is like a G hook with lace weight. So very supple fabric. And I just guessed it because I've made so many projects with this yarn already that I just guessed at how wide I should make it. I'm just hoping that it'll end up being long enough. So this is like 24 inches or really close to 24 inches. And based on the number of balls, I should get at least 4 or 5 feet out of it. Hello to whoever is here. Are you YouTube or are you Rumble? Or you don't care enough to stay? No, it's Twitter. That's the one I'm on, Twitter. I keep track of all these connections. I think the only account I have attached to Rumble is my less crafty channel. And I feel like going live and then talking crafts on a channel that really can't mix craft and personal opinion because especially if men watch, they're like, oh no, crafts must have, like, they just run for the hills. Even though crafting is something you can do while talking politics or anything else, or economics, or How are our allegedly wonderful leaders screwing us over today? I think they call it politics. I just call it being screwed over and just being aware of it, because as much change as I would love to put out into the world, I'm also not oblivious to how much I can't put out in the world. Yeah, at the same time, they say if you ain't trying, you're dying. So, and of course, yeah, the other flip side of that is we get all biblical. Paul said that being alive was like living with a thorn in his side, but it is our cross to bear, so might as well do it with some kind of joy and happiness. And we're not leaving until God says, come on up. So, and then of course, you have all of them. I wouldn't call them conspiracy theorists, but those who are great believers in more of when the end times would happen rather than whether or not such an idea is a true concept. I mean, I'm curious how it'll play out, because if the Bible is correct, we are semi aware of some list of things that do have to happen. But at the same time, if you apply them to this modern world, I'd like to see everyone freak out. I mean, if the rapture happens, I'd rather be in the rapture, but at the same time, I'm not against being. It's like looking at a snow globe. I wouldn't mind being outside the snow globe with a good seat to see everything. Wouldn't mind it. One of my local taverns has started an open mic night, and they say the best people will be invited back and will be paid. I didn't go last night because I was still not right in my mind. And eventually I'll go. I mean, I've been driving for rideshare for over 7 years. Yeah, I got stories about humans and their human condition, just not disappointing in how awful they can be, or twisted in their logic, or not having any logic at all, which is quite common. Or, as I'm sure I've brought up before, the theater of the absurd, which is when you basically just screw with people in real life and they don't know that you're putting on a show or a play for basically yourself, if you're one person kind of thing. Or it's like a variation on what do they call those? It's when like the best example is when those like choirs go into a mall and they just start singing in like perfect tune. Flash mob. Flash mobs are cool. But most times when it comes to theater of the absurd, it's only one or two people. And you're just seeing how society reacts to your abnormal. You're just something that's abnormal. Just the stick you put in the wheel to see what happens. See how the bike flips when you do it. It's not entirely from a place of spiritual boredom with this life. I really love this yarn dispenser because, like I said, because the stitch is so loose, I don't have to pull on it at all, and it's magnetic, so it is just so like, I can just go as fast as I want. And plus, I got the gripper on here, and it's lightweight, so it's not super heavy like most of the ones I have. I just hope the colors look good. I hate it when I go and make something big, warm, and wonderful, and when I look at it, all I can think of how much it's an eyesore. My goal is not to make eyesores. But I really want to use it up because then once I get all the universe yarn used up, I do have some Kirschner's wool. It's a acrylic wool mix, but it's a sock yarn, and they're all like colors. Like they're the same colors as Slurpees from the 1980s, the 1990s, but they're very, very bright. I can't wait to use those up. The self striping in sock yarn, I just think is superior because they're assuming that your rounds aren't more than 5 or 6 inches, 8 if you get super fat feet. And so they can more easily estimate how long the color runs need to be based on gauge. And whoever said women were bad with math have never met knitters and crocheters. All we do is math. All we do is weigh out stuff because even yarn prices, they're based on weight. And whether we need a color for something, that's based on yardage because no one really wants to play yarn chicken that much. Yarn chicken, if you don't know, is when you hope to God you have enough. And you can just, some of us, we can just feel how much the yarn weighs and we know whether or not we'll have enough to finish the project. I dare a man to do that who's not gay. I dare you. And of course, all the measuring, if you do sweaters, like, will it fit the kid? Or how long will it fit the kid before he outgrows it? Or how long will it fit the man before his beer gut won't let it fit anymore? Like all that usual stuff. Or how can you add extra paneling to it so if he does get a beer gut, that it still fits? Just by unsewing the sides and adding in some more room and having it look decorative and not like fat shaming additive to the clothing. But yeah, everything's math. Calculating how to attach those. Everything's math. Stitches per inch, loops per inch. It all matters. Crafters do more math than anybody. And the only one who does equal amount of math would probably be like engineers, because everything they do has to be measured twice before they do it. Same as anybody who sews, whether or not you quilt, anything, any kind of craft, whether or not you have enough paint, whether or not you have enough glue, pencil stub, all that good stuff. All right, there's that one lady on Instagram. How many washes will it take to clean a vintage wedding dress to get the yellow out? It's all calculation. Never ending math. But we can't balance a checkbook, allegedly. Well, we can balance the checkbook. We're just not happy with how little is left in it when we're done. And since we don't like how little is in it when we're done, we don't like depression, so we don't balance the checkbook. Simple. We don't like depression. We like money. Simple as that. Or nowadays, it's not about the checkbook anymore. It's just reconciling your bank statement from what you spent versus what you didn't spend and making sure technology in China didn't screw it up. And that what you think is in there is in there. Now, I don't know if it's springtime near y'all, but I think it got up to at least 80 degrees here in Texas. I think I'm going outside and maybe planting some gladiolas soon. I keep on debating where I should put them in the yard. Whether it's, I have these trees that overhang, and right past them, that's where the sun starts. So I thought about putting a border around the driveway. And it just mixed gladiolas, so I don't know what I got. I hope they're not all yellow. I don't mind yellow. I mean, whatever color I have will stand out nicely against like a medium coffee brown house. But yellow reminds me too much of daffodils. I like daffodils. I don't love daffodils. Or at least if it was a forsythia yellow, that's okay. That's a little bit brighter. It's not so butter colored. I'm not a big fan of butter colors. I prefer more like canary colors and true brightness instead of, baby colors. Hate I don't hate baby colors. I just don't prefer them. Like, especially when you have purple or hot pink or white. I know, I shouldn't be so picky. If I was so picky, I would have picked a bag that had one solid color in it, and I didn't. I thought about putting them down by the mailbox, but I run it over. I run that corner over so often that I don't think that's a wise decision. I really don't. I know people keep coming and going, just nobody stays. So if you're watching the replay, thank you if you've gotten this far. I'm normally a repost, at least on X, a lot more political stuff, but usually my comments are just based on common sense. It's like, the world is crazy in politics. Here's my common sense perspective. Or my sarcasm. Like most of the comments are, laughing on the floor. Rolling on the floor laughing, or no shit, Sherlock. Or just real Captain Obvious type of sense of humor. It's like, of course it doesn't work. Of course it's out to screw us. Of course it's another worldwide socialist pretending that they own us. Of course it is. And that real, it's just sarcasm. The sarcasm of the world pretending it didn't get crappier, pretending that it won't try to put a bigger stranglehold on the people who just want to live a happy life beyond basic survival. Is that too much to ask? No, it's not. Oh, that's why they say all freedom comes from God. If God won't object, who is objecting and who's trying to change it? And then, of course, just blame all the bad stuff on the devil. And those who don't believe in God or the devil are therefore left for the devil because God requires you to choose first. The devil just takes and says, "You see no God. You see no God." End of story. At least that's how I feel about Trudeau and anyone who might take his place. Okay, I don't expect anybody else to show up. Thank you for watching the replay. Leave any comments below. Sorry I didn't show up when I thought I could show up. I do try to plan on any live streams on Mondays. But if I am not well, you just can't force these things. You just can't. So, au revoir, mon amis. Until next time, where parting is sweet sorrow.